listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your weekly post-apocalyptic news roundup.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to a very special Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Derek. I'm joined with Shawn.
Hey, everyone.
And Stephanie.
Hello.
We have a big show today. You know, I'll be honest with you, some weeks is a slow news week, and we don't have a lot to talk about. This week is not one of those weeks. We actually have a lot going on right now. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. First of all, okay, so we had Handmaid's Tale and the Fear the Walking Dead special podcast just released. If you're into those shows, go check that out. We have a Discord where people can come, hang out, talk about post-apocalyptic topics, movies, games, even prepping. We have a website, and on that website, postapocalyptic.com, you can see all the latest news. We are writing just about every day. Every day, I'd say we have at least a new article every day about about what's going on in the post-apocalyptic world. So you can check that out. We have a calendar on that website. That'll help you to stay on top of when shows are coming out, when movies are coming out, games, events. We got all of that. So check all of that stuff out. That's all connected to this. We primarily work on that website and dispense information that way. But there's stuff that we just don't have time to write about, or additional information that we do write about it, but we want to discuss it here on the podcast, and that's what this is for. So tune in to this podcast for relevant post-apocalyptic news on a weekly basis. We release on Fridays. However, I will not be on the podcast for just a couple weeks, probably about 4 weeks. And the reason is because I have not been studious in getting my other life responsibilities taken care of. And so I just am having to step back for a minute, do some work on the side before I can come back to what I really enjoy, post-apocalyptic media. So I'm going to miss you guys, but I'll be around, and when I come back, things will be better than ever, I think. So without further ado, let's talk about some topics. You know what I want to start out talking about is that TV show, Sweet Tooth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a new trailer that released this week, just a couple days ago. And they originally released a teaser, a couple weeks ago. And we got to see the characters. We got to see a little, they teased us. And it's Netflix. It's a Netflix show. And this full trailer shows us a little bit more about what we can expect. It shows a few more of the characters, a few more of the background, things like that. And for anyone who doesn't know, I could explain what Sweet Tooth is real quick.
Yeah, please do.
It's basically, well, I think a lot of people, when they see the trailer, they might think it's like a kid's movie because there's a child with antlers, basically. And they might be like, well, first of all, what is it? And second of all, why do we think that's post-apocalyptic? Well, it is. It takes place after this big event. And they don't really tell, of course I haven't seen it yet, but according to the comics, there's this big event that wipes a few people out. Not everyone, but it wipes a few people out, and then there's a weird birth event that happens after that, where children who are born after this event are like half animal, and they have animal features. There's like a pig, and they show in the trailer there's like a baby that has pig features. There's like a bird feature one. It's really interesting, and it's like a mystery to the people in the world. They don't know why this is happening. Now, of course, I think it's pretty accurate, because if this happened, you would have the people who thought that those children were some kind of evil omen or something like that. So in the show, this group of people are trying to wipe out they're calling the hybrids. They're trying to wipe out all the hybrids. And the story basically follows this small boy who's been living out in the woods peacefully with his, I think he lives with his dad the whole time. And he finds out that he wants to go out on an adventure. He wants to go out and see the world because he's tired of being hidden. He doesn't really understand why his dad wants to hide him. So he goes out into the world, and then he finds out, you know, the bad part about it. There's people that want to kill him. And there's this man who takes him in and kind of protects him, and he goes with him. He's this adult, you know, and they kind of go together. He's the man is just a normal human, and he kind of protects the child, and the child's name is Gus. And the reason they call it Sweet Tooth, which is kind of funny because it's an odd name for a, you know, post-apocalyptic show, is the kid actually, I guess in the comics at least, he took this guy's candy. He had like a stash of candy, like an end of the world stash of candy, and this kid just took it and ate it all. So then the guy started calling him Sweet Tooth. And I don't know. It seems like a really cool story. I think it looks like it's going to be a quality show. You know, like it looks pretty high quality as far as that goes.
Yeah, it does. I watched that trailer too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, especially you look at the effects and everything, like the hybrid children and everything. It's really interesting. I'd like to find out how closely it will follow the comic books, because the comic books get pretty dark. You know, especially when you talk about the people hunting these children, you know, and there's a whole part of the comics where this boy and this man find a prostitution ring, and they break up this prostitute. I know it's crazy. So I just wonder, I think a lot of people might look at it and go, oh, I'm going to have my children watch this. But I just wonder how close to the comics they'll get. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting, Shawn. It makes me think that, I could see people making that mistake. Oh, yeah, you know, this is a kid's movie. How fun. And you've made me more interested in it since you were talking about it, because just the name Sweet Tooth and a photo of a kid with antlers, I was like,
You're like, that's cute, but...
Yeah, is that what I'm looking for?
Well, what's funny is they actually, in the wiki... I looked at the wiki earlier, and it says they call it a mix between Mad Max and Bambi, which who would have ever put those two together, you know?
That's wow, yeah. It was strange. Bambi in a Mad Max world.
Yeah, so a bit of background on that. That's you mentioned this. It's based on a comic book series. Mm-hmm. And is the comic book series like really long, or is it fairly new?
I think it came out in like about 10 years ago, and they had a first run of it, and I think they've done some extensions of it since then, because it got really popular, and so I think this is just kind of part of it where they're going a little bit further. And you know, whenever these comic adaptations happen, especially with someone like Netflix takes it on, they kind of adapt it and they change it, you know, to be more for a Netflix audience, I guess. So I'm just curious to see how they play that out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, Dark is in. Stephanie and I just finished Jupiter's Legacy, which was a fairly dark take on the superhero genre. It's not as dark as The Boys, which for some reason I just started a rewatch on that.
Did you?
I wanted to see it again. So that's super dark, and that's, you know, comic book based. So it seems like there is a inclination towards going in the darker direction. So yeah, don't bring your kids to watch Sweet Tooth the first go around. I mean, watch it first. If you're wanting to jump right into something with your kids, what is it, the Mitchells versus the Machines or something like that? Yeah, go check that out. That looks like a great family oriented thing.
It's funny because I feel like I'm the family post-apocalyptic reviewer now. It's like I run the spectrum though. I'm like, I love really dark, like, you know, horror post-apocalyptic, but then there's also the kids stuff. So. Nothing in between.
Yeah, well, so if anyone has questions about whether a post-apocalyptic series is is okay for children to watch, just jump on our Discord and ask Shawn.
There you go.
That's right. He loves those questions.
Yes.
and direct your complaints. If your kid learns a new curse word or something, that's who to be mad about.
Talk to Shawn.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like tracing the origins back. So this idea of a hybrid between a human and an animal, I've just been seeing it a lot lately, and like I was going back. Now I know that Mutant Year Zero was like a tabletop RPG, and then it was made into a video game, and that was fairly recent. That was just in the last couple years. So if Sweet Tooth is older than the video game, perhaps it's older than the tabletop. I'm not sure. If you're in the Twitch chat or the Discord chat, and you know the answer to that, let us know. But I'm seeing a lot of that. And then there's that other Biomutant is coming out really soon. Anthropomorphic kind of animals. And the plot's like kind of similar across all of these intellectual properties, in that it's radiation, I believe, that has transformed everybody. And just for the record, most of the time radiation doesn't transform you. So this is something like, as a little kid, you're exposed to like Godzilla, and you're like, yeah, okay, there was a normal sized lizard. He got into some radiation. Now he's huge and strong. And there's superheroes who have similar origin stories. And the fact is, usually it kills you dead, and it really doesn't matter if you're a lizard or a human. It's going to kill you dead. Yeah. But there is an example in the world. So far as I understand, boars in the Chernobyl area were able to like withstand the radiation somehow, and they didn't like transform into cooler versions of a boar. They just like have radiation all over them and like are far more deadly now than they were before.
Didn't that happen with wolves too? The wolves of Chernobyl. That's like a whole. It's like a whole thing. There's actually a band called Wolves of Chernobyl too. Yeah, I think something similar happened with wolves.
All right, so yeah, the best you can hope for is superpowered wolves and boars in the area,
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not even thinking about these radiation-covered boars and wolves. Just wow, as if it wasn't already dangerous enough over there in Chernobyl.
But I think the mentality is that, radiation, if you imagine like a bullet, it just like goes through everything. Radiation's a lot like just like a microscopic bullet, and it just doesn't stop. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so deadly to us, is that it's going through us and screwing with everything inside, and we don't even know it. Yeah. So like theoretically, if that were to hit the right kinds of like, I guess, parts of your DNA chain or whatever, then it could knock something loose and change the way that you grew and developed. And so I guess that's kind of the philosophy behind these animal human hybrid things, I think. Now there may be more to it, but anyways, Sweet Tooth, the production value of the trailer looks great. If you watch that trailer, you're probably going to get a good feel for whether or not you want to watch it. For me, it was easy choice. I'm going to watch it probably the day it comes out, because it just looks like a story that I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah, and it's actually executive produced by Robert Downey Jr. and his wife Susan. So yeah, which is kind of a weird, you wouldn't think, but I think he's kind of getting. I think his wife already was an executive producer, and I think they're doing this together. But it's supposed to release on June 4th, so that's coming up a couple weeks.
Oh,
that's soon.
Yeah,
it is. Huh. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. A Quiet Place 2, is that out? That's out, right?
What?
28th, I think.
28th. It's the 18th. Yeah. It's a Memorial Weekend movie.
In 10 days from now, which is like 7 days from when you're going to be listening to this, unless you're listening to it live. Thank you, live viewers. IGN has released a video review of A Quiet Place 2. And I watched it. they have a lot of clips from the movie, so it is a little bit spoiler-y. But it's not like, I don't feel like I know what the movie really is. So so kudos to them. They gave the movie an 8 out of 10. So pretty good, pretty high stars. They did say that it's not as good as the original in a lot of ways, but still 8 out of 10. It's not bad. Resident Evil Village is out. And Honest Trailers. Okay, so I didn't know this until very recently. Honest Trailers does movie trailers that, like, you know, makes a lot of jokes about the movie. If you watched a movie, go watch the Honest trailer about it, and they're probably going to make fun of some things that you also found odd about the movie. It's pretty good little channel. Yeah. I didn't know this, but they have a side channel just for games.
Oh.
So
really?
They just released one about Resident Evil Village. I don't really plan to play it myself, and so I just went ahead and watched it. Usually I'll wait until I watch the movie or play the game, but in this case I watched it. It's pretty funny, so you can check that out. It actually gives you a good feel for the game, and I saw a lot of things in the Honest trailers that I didn't see in any of the other promotional materials I saw for that game that actually were pretty cool. So something worth checking out. Okay, now Stephanie and I watched 60 Minutes the other day, and no,
Yes.
we are not boomers. So
is that show even still on? I didn't know that.
It's still on, and it brought back a lot of memories from my childhood when I used to be really excited about 60 Minutes coming on. Around the same time, I was reading Reader's Digest every month.
what
You are a
century
boomer.
are you from?
I am not a boomer. I promise. I promise I'm not a boomer. I had to say that into the mic so it got picked up.
Mask is slipping, Stephanie.
I promise.
Reader's Digest? What?
I used to love Reader's
Anyways.
Digest.
Don't admit it.
I'm proud. Proud of
I feel
my-
like the whole Reader's Digest crowd just went into Hallmark, where you are a writer now. So
That's true.
that actually makes sense.
I remember graduating from Highlights magazine to Reader's Digest when I go to the dentist's office.
Oh,
But that's it. That's it.
I thought you were gonna say at home. Oh, I used to love. Oh,
Just to impress the other people in the waiting room, you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes, I have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
So that's so. Where were we? Oh yeah. We watched 60 Minutes, and Anderson Cooper was all over it. I mean, I wondered, like, how is this guy so famous? It's because of 60 Minutes. He's all over the place on that show. Anyways, 60 Minutes had a segment recently about UFO disclosures.
it's crazy.
And
Crazy.
Stephanie and I are keeping on top of this because there's enough stuff going around out there that it's like something major is being hidden from us, and probably with the way these disclosures are happening, whatever it is, they're planning to tell us soon. I think that they're just ramping it up little by little until they're like, okay, now this all makes sense because we explain it this way. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm hoping for aliens, but Atlanteans I would settle for Atlanteans.
Yeah, I could put out a prediction. It's either going to be UFOs or a species that already existed on the Earth. It feels more far-fetched to be the latter, but you never know. Could also be future humans coming to view us.
Future humans, mole people. They don't have to be
No.
underwater, so
Nah,
they could
Derek,
be in
that's a little
vaults.
too far-fetched.
Look, if I could afford it and just like go into a vault underground and just like stay there with my family like for generations, I probably would. So like maybe they just have great tech because they sealed themselves away. They're like Wakanda.
Wakanda. You know,
What-
this...
did I say it wrong?
Well, you know, I don't know the proper pronunciation. You added an I, made it
think I did.
Wakandia, but that's like no big deal, so ignore me. What is so exciting about the 60 Minutes episode, they had interviews with fighter pilots. Navy fighter pilots who had been out on a sub and witnessed some of these crazy UFOs. And the thing is, what you have to remember is these Navy fighter pilots are like the cream of the crop, right? Like, you have to go through so much to get to that status and have perfect eyesight. And then to be on a sub as a fighter pilot is even harder. It is really, really, really difficult to land on a sub and take off on a sub. It takes a lot of skill. So, or aircraft carrier, sorry, sub.
You said that before. I was like, did they land on a sub? What?
Hey,
okay,
that is alien tech. What we're talking. If you could land underwater on a sub and take off and fly, that is what this UFO tech is doing. But no, aircraft carrier. Sorry, everyone. Anyway, the whole point of that is that these are very credible witnesses who are trained to know if something's unusual. If it were a weather balloon, they would know it, right? So they're talking about how it's using propulsion technology that nobody else has. So it's not like just a drone from another country that's flying fast. This is propulsion tech that they are not familiar with. So either another country has crazy tech that we don't know about. We had a congressman in the 60 Minutes episode who said he didn't think it was U.S. tech because he had worked with the Department of Defense and just really felt, and he was one of the people who helped leak it originally, and so, or a former congressman, so he really didn't think it was U.S. tech, right? I mean, although anything's possible. I think it all boils down to it being alien.
Well, yeah, if you watch that interview, it's pretty cool because one of the two people being interviewed is this woman, and you can tell she doesn't want to be there. She's like, it's embarrassing, basically, to have to say this and to be the one because of the mood of things. But she rationaled that I was being paid by the government when this happened, and so it's like my responsibility to tell the truth and to tell people what happened. It's an encounter that happened with the Nimitz group of ships, or Nimitz fleet or something. I don't know the vernacular for the Navy, but basically they had a group of ships out there, not a submarine, aircraft carrier, but it was they were flying around, and they find this like flying object that's over the ocean, and it's like creating all sorts of white caps underneath it on the ocean surface, and it's like zipping around, and they go and they're flying above it looking at it, and it starts to like mirror their movements and fly towards them, but like in a way that the pilot feels confident that it was aware of that he was there and was mimicking his movements. Then it zips off, and it's like 60 miles away in like a minute or something, or an instant. I don't know how long it took. I can't remember. I watched it once. But the bottom line is, they said in the 60 Minutes, this is happening every day. They see a new UFO every day now for the last 2 years.
Years, they said. Every day.
Here's what I don't understand about it. So the phone I have in my pocket can take, 4K photos, but these cameras they have on these expensive fighter planes look like they're filming with a potato, and I don't understand. It's always really low res.
Have an answer for that.
Uh-oh. What?
I read this is an article. I cannot cite it because I don't remember where I read it, and I read it like 2 days ago. So you decide for yourself, listeners, if you want to believe me.
Was it on the dark web?
If you want to look it up. But it was a mainstream news article that basically said that they have higher res images, more details about these sightings. This is just what's been publicly released. And so they're saying that this one article I read said that there are better images and better videos, but it's not being publicly released yet. This is just what's been made available to us.
Typical government. Typical government. Like, oh, come on. If you got data, you got to give it to us. We pay for everything that they do, and they still hide important information from us. Derek's blood pressure goes up every time I think about that they would take a clear image and put it through a filter to make it unclear and then release it.
I'm not saying they did that on purpose. They probably just had lower res videos and higher res videos, and they released the lower res. Which still doesn't make Derek feel any better. Oh, come on.
Go ahead.
I'm just excited. I'm just really, what is it going to be? Will we find out this year? In a month or so is when they're supposedly supposed to release some information, which they may or may not do. I've been down this road before, right? Thinking we were going to get lots of really cool information about JFK, and then it wasn't that exciting, except, it just, yeah. But, think about it. What could it be?
It's aliens.
It could be
That's
aliens.
what it could be.
I couldn't sleep last night. I kept thinking about it. It's so exciting.
But but we had the Roswell thing and all of these sightings all these years. It just seems that there's going to be another shoe to drop. It's not just going to be aliens. It's going to be aliens, and they told us that we have 20 years left before they wipe our planet of human life or something. There's going to be another aspect to it, which is see, we told you didn't want to know that, did you? But
future humans, sentient species that's been hidden. Like if it was an underwater sentient species, right? Or they had an underground base. I get excited about this stuff. I was telling Derek earlier, I was like, maybe this is why dolphins are so friendly with people. Because there's an underwater sentient race, and they already are familiar with that, and they kind of think we're like them. They're
domesticated.
Endless possibilities. It's very exciting.
All right. Well, so anyways, that was on this week, 60 Minutes. I don't know the name of the episode, but
60
it was
minutes.
We had to subscribe to Paramount Plus through our Apple TV to get access to it. Maybe if we'd have waited a day or two, it would have been on our DVR's on-demand thing, DirecTV. I don't know. But yeah, and even Amazon Prime had some 60 Minutes episodes. I don't know if they were free or you had to pay for them, but they didn't have that one yet. Okay, so moving on to more topics. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I may be butchering that. That is a movie that is very old. You may have heard of it already because it's from 1984. In 1984, this cartoon came out, and it's apparently become very famous. It's by the same studio. It's by a very famous anime studio. Another word I'm about to butcher. Ghibli? I'm just going to go with Ghibli. So Ghibli, the studio, they did My Neighbor Totoro and other things that you may have already heard about. They did Grave of the Fireflies, which I watched recently because somebody in the Discord was telling me about Grave of the Fireflies. And so I watched it, and it was an extremely sad movie. Yeah. It could be described as post-apocalyptic. It actually describes real world events. And so in that way it's not. But it's basically what life was like for some children in Japan right after the fire bombings, or I guess during and after. So it's an extremely touching movie, and I highly suggest it. But at the same time, it'll put you through the ringer, because it depicts poverty in a way that I think a lot of Hollywood productions about it don't really want to delve into, and I really like that. So that's Grave of the Fireflies. But the other thing, the Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, for whatever reason, people are writing about it right now. It's on HBO Max. So HBO Max is a great value. Next to Netflix, I would say HBO Max is the next best on-demand service you could get. It's on HBO Max. I haven't watched it yet, but it's post-apocalyptic, and it's by that studio. So I'll have a review for it soon.
In
you had something
Twitch
to say,
channel,
Shawn?
Val says that I think she's saying that you did pronounce it correctly, Ghibli.
Oh, thank you,
And she
Val.
said it's so good, so good. She said so good a couple times. So she must be familiar with that.
All right, yeah, Val approved. So Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, check that out. HBO Max on demand right now. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is it's zombie video games. Now, several weeks ago, I played Call of Duty's Zombie Mode and gave it a short review here on the show. And I wasn't like a huge fan of it. It was using the Call of Duty platform, which I am very familiar with. I play Call of Duty Warzone on a weekly basis, almost on a daily basis. I really like it that much. I played their zombie mode, not a fan. And mainly because the physics were all weird. I hate those old school arcade physics where you shoot something and the bullet like looks like it just explodes on their skin and like hurts them a little bit. You know, their power meter goes down a quarter inch. I don't like that, but that's not how bullets work. So, anyways, I wasn't a real fan of the Call of Duty. Sure, you get to shoot a lot of zombies, so if that's what you're in for, yeah, try the Call of Duty thing. But there was another game that came out pretty recently called World War Z, and you may be familiar with the book and the movie based on the book, and now there's a game, I think, based on the book. I didn't read the book, but I've played that. It's not first person. So Call of Duty is a first person shooter. All you see is like the gun in front of your head. This is a third person game. So that's difficult for some people to get past. But World War Z, I played it for several hours the other day. In fact, I played it on 2 different occasions. Because the first occasion I felt sick and I didn't know if it was related. It was actually related to the fact that I ate half a pound of shrimp in one sitting, and that's not something that you're supposed to do. So, so I got super sick afterwards. But World War Z is actually pretty fun. The zombies are fast. They are intense. They run at you and scream. And it's one of those games that you do have to play with other people. And I just jumped into random lobbies online. Nobody ever talked. I don't know if we had our settings wrong. I tried to talk to them, but didn't hear anything back. The first time you play through, it's very confusing. You'll be, there's no like good walkthrough or anything. They just throw you in and are like, you walk up to a thing and it's like, press this button to pick up the flamethrower. So anyways, played it, loved it. It's a good game. There are things about it that I wish were improved. The gunplay, not great, in my opinion. However, when you shoot a zombie, it looks like they got hit by a bullet. And, you shoot them in the chest or something. They're not traditional zombies in the sense that you have to kill them by going for the head. These zombies, you can kill them in all sorts of ways. I used grenades, used a flamethrower, used a chainsaw, and it was a really fun game. So anyways, World War Z, it is right now on Xbox Game Pass, so you don't have to pay a cent to go test my theory. You can just go to Xbox Game Pass, download it, and be playing it on your Xbox very quickly. So check that out. It's a good time. I really like the zombies. I think that if they could tweak it a little bit more, just like make the graphics a little better, make the gunplay a little better, it would be an epic game. It would be something that I'd spend a ton of time on.
So check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I do best here is I give vaguely related facts to things you're talking about. So did you know the author of World War Z, Max Brooks, do you know that is Mel Brooks' son?
No.
Isn't that incredible? Max Brooks He wrote the book
Really?
World War Z, of course. Yeah, and he used to be an SNL writer.
What?
Yeah, and then he decided to write a zombie book. It's crazy. Anyway, there's
that's
your interesting factoid of the day. Right there.
The old SNL pipeline to post-apocalyptic fiction is strong.
Yep.
So, well, that's fascinating. Now I want to know what sketches he wrote, because I've been watching SNL loyally for better part of 25 years now.
Oh yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
That is loyal.
yeah, through thick and thin, hell and high water. So, anyways, yeah, that's really cool. Mel Brooks' son.
Mm-hmm.
Steph, you brought an article to my attention today, and in fact, I saw it on YouTube. Somebody was covering it. The Resident
really?
or something like that covered this. So somebody did a thing to calculate how many people you need for humanity to actually survive. So this is right in our wheelhouse. How many people does it take? You know, there's that TV show Last Man on Earth, in which, spoiler alert, he's not the last man on Earth. There's actually other people, but there's not a lot. There's a very small number of people. So as it turns out, even with that number of people, humanity's still doomed. As far as this study goes, they were saying that the bare minimum you need, because, you know, humans, we can't interbreed like within our own families, right? And so, or at least not for long. You have the British tried that a little bit, and it got very silly very fast. So I say the British, the royal family, not all the British, okay? They're not Alabama.
I was going to say something there, but
so yeah, the royal family, they did that, you know, keep land in the family, keep the power in the family, all that stuff. It didn't work out because something about our genetics doesn't like that. So you've got to have a big genetic pool to mix the humans in sufficiently so that there's not birth defects and so forth. What they figured out is that you need like at least 40 some odd couples, totally unrelated to each other, to make this work. And that's the very least. So like basically 100 people is what you need. But apparently like 500 people is more ideal. So if you're ever planning on starting a post-apocalyptic conclave, if you're building a vault, that's what you need to really focus on, is providing for that number of people.
So
Steph, you read the article. I just watched a YouTuber cough up,
No, it's pretty similar.
secondhand like a bird, mama bird.
The article
yeah.
was very similar, and it talked about that also in the context of sending people to colonize other planets. Like if you had to go on a long journey where you couldn't go back to Earth and go back and forth, you'd need at minimum 48 to 49 couples. But like you said, ideally more. So I thought that was interesting, like we're talking about wanting to colonize Mars. Of course, unless there's a catastrophe on Earth, we could go back and forth between Earth and Mars with once we're at that point. But if we were trying to send some people out even farther, you'd have to have a ship big enough to support quite a few people to have it be even possible.
Yeah, because you have some people who die.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
some people are infertile. Some people aren't hot. So
there's always that.
Oh my god.
They should stipulate 49 to 50 hot couples.
Yeah. That's I think it's time to start getting the Facebook groups ready for that now. Like, make your Facebook group of people you want in your colony. Start now, right?
You already have a group like that, right, Shawn?
It's a secret group, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is somebody in a call center? I thought I just heard.
I did too.
That's my phone that rings every single time we do a podcast.
Oh, okay. It did sound like we were in a call center. And we have calls coming in live about our latest story. Hello,
yes, Cleveland,
caller.
you're on the air.
Yes.
All right,
Shawn,
so
I'd like
we've
to complain about your comment.
Oh my gosh, we need that. We need
do.
people to call in and complain to Shawn. And
Live.
That's probably what they're doing. That's why I keep getting the calls.
Yes. Not only is Shawn spoiled live, but now we need, Shawn gets complaints live. That'd be fun.
So, let me go ahead and remind you all about a few post-apocalyptic shows that are airing right now. Handmaid's Tale is airing right now. It's on Hulu. They are in season 3, and is it season 3? Is it 3 or 4?
4.
Oh,
okay.
Just had to
4.
put me on the spot. I'm very bad with numbers, and I'm covering like 10 shows right now, so it's
right.
hard. But give me a second.
It's 4.
Season 4,
Yeah.
because I just wrote an article about Handmaid's Tale earlier today, so that's how quickly I can get mixed up. We are on season 4.
All right, season 4 of Handmaid's Tale. It's airing right now on Hulu. I think it's like Sundays or something that new episodes come out. Steph
No.
wrote an article about that.
Actually, new episodes of Handmaid's Tale come out either, depending on your time zone, either late night on Tuesdays or early morning Wednesdays.
Cool.
Yeah, I just put
Okay.
up an article. So, if you check out our Handmaid's Tale coverage on our website, I go down with each specific time zone and the exact time that you can watch if you're wanting to watch it the second it releases on Hulu.
All right, you got Van Helsing is airing new episodes right now. Final season of Van Helsing. So,
Oh, wow.
if you want to be part of it while it's going on live, you better hurry up and get caught up to it. I don't know when Van Helsing episodes are coming out, but it is coming out right now. Also, Fear the Walking Dead is currently releasing episodes.
Season 6.
Season 6. And by the way, Steph, we've got to get back on to that other Walking Dead series.
Yes, we need to finish it.
We jumped back in, and we got a few episodes
really
knocked
good.
out before something else came on our radar and beat it again. But we're going back to it because it's actually really good. It
is.
picks up. If you like us, were like kind of dropped off after four or 5 episodes, get back into it because 6 and 7 really picks it back up and
Yep.
has an extreme scene that I'm not going to spoil for anybody, but it's almost like the whole series turns on this one scene in which a character goes from being kind of a dull, boring character, and then you get a flashback from this character's history, and it's like, whoa, it's pretty cool.
We're talking about The Walking Dead World Beyond. By
World
the way.
Beyond, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, any other shows airing right now that I'm not mentioning?
There's an upcoming Army of the Dead on Netflix. That's on Saturday?
Exciting.
Friday. It's coming up on Friday.
Oh, cool. Now that is one that you can go watch in theaters right now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or you can wait for it on Netflix.
Yeah. Which, I mean, when you hear this podcast out, it'll be out. It's a Netflix original, and I think this is actually kind of, as a side note, interesting that Netflix is doing this. Theaters are, I was reading this article about theaters are running out of things to show, so they're taking these Netflix shows, they're working out a deal with Netflix, and then they're showing them, like a week early or whatever in the theaters to try to kind of keep these businesses alive, which is crazy. But,
Wow.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
this
forward
world
to
is
that.
changing.
yeah.
We've got Disney. Disney's buying up IP all over the place. Netflix expanding, HBO Max. Now we've got the Peacock and the Paramount Plus. It's kind of endless. But I imagine they'll consolidate. And mainly
Become
I'm
cable
in
again.
favor of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's where we're going.
Derek, also, we want to remember that on Thursday is Adventure Time, Distant Lands, the next episode.
Oh, that's Thursday. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Adventure Time, first of all, it is post-apocalyptic. It is. It occurs a long time after the apocalypse. It's probably, I think, 1,000 years after the apocalypse happened on that world, and it is a children's show. So, or at least it starts out as a children's show. And my advice to parents would be wait until your kid is like roughly 13, 14-ish before introducing them to Adventure Time, because the show aged with the audience. And so by the time you're at the final seasons, they're really gearing toward those episodes towards like 18 and 19-year-olds. So, but you'll watch it a lot faster than one season a year. And so you if you watch it with a young child, you're going to be into adult content. It's not like adult, like, they're not going to learn cuss words or see nudity or anything. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the concepts are going to be very lofty, and some of the story gets a little dark for a little kid to stomach. So anyways, it is an epic show. I've watched through Adventure Time at least 3 times now. And it's not a short series. It's fairly long, but it is brilliant. It is great storytelling, so entertaining, deep, makes you think. I highly recommend it, and especially I think that it's always good to find content that a parent and a child can enjoy together without like faking it. Like, you can enjoy certain kinds of children's shows, but you're like comparing it to other children's shows. If you can enjoy a children's show based just upon the fact that it's a good show, then that brings it up a notch. And so I consider Adventure Time to be in that category. They ended the series, but then HBO Max said, but what if we gave you some money? And so now we have like a few more episodes that are kind of tacked on to the universe after the conclusion of the series. And I'm just fine with that. So long as you have Pendleton Ward involved and helping to make it great, then, that's the genius that's behind the whole production.
Absolutely. Love
Strontium
that.
Doug
All right.
is in the chat room saying that he is also watching it with his young lad.
Aw, that's great.
He says it's their favorite show, and they ugly cried when it ended.
Oh, yes.
I get that.
Me too. And there's a song in the final episode that can still move me emotionally. It's about how time passes and looking back upon the moments of our lives. I'm like, don't cry on a podcast, Eric. Don't get too deep into it. But yeah, it's a great series. Man, it ended. You already got to the end with your lad, with your wee lad. How?
Yeah. I'm
not gonna dox you if you don't want to say, but I'm just curious as to. Here's what I was going to ask before I realized that I'm on a podcast and that the whole world doesn't need to know how old Strontium Doug's children are. But I was just curious because I want to know, like, what is the youngest somebody should watch Adventure Time, and what is the sweet spot? Because I was thinking 13 or 14 probably is a good place to start them on Adventure Time. I have a niece who is not that age yet, and my sister-in-law, I haven't told her to watch Adventure Time yet, but I'm planning on it when the time is right. So anyways, don't answer that unless that was just for the podcast viewing audience. So anyways, let's give the chat a chance to ask questions. We're actually really at the end of the content of the podcast section of the podcast episode. So we'll since we're live on Twitch, I want to make sure that we interact with our audience, give you a chance to talk.
So far there's no there's some good discussion going on between Val and Strontium here and there, but yeah, no new questions after that.
I want to point out that if you do a Google search for Against the Moon Moonstorm review, Moonstorm is an expansion for Against the Moon. If you do that search, you're going to find the very top hit is our very own Val, who is a Twitch celebrity and who also is our media editor. So she's in the chat right now. So congratulate her and read that article.
She's signing autographs in the chat right now.
Yes. Woohoo, Val! Yay!
You know, I'm really thinking this crypto market's pretty interesting. We're not a crypto podcast, but
it is interesting.
we do some prepping and you know, get you a little bit just in case the U.S. dollar continues to go on this inflation path, because there are some cryptos you can get into that are not inflationary like the U.S. dollar. Not financial advice, people.
We're not Elon Musk. Don't.
That's right.
All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody who has been with us for this podcast. I want to thank our loyal listeners who have been with us from the start. This is our 28th?
28th, yeah.
Wow. 28.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you all. And by the way, if you don't mind, please click the like button on our YouTube video. If you're watching this on YouTube, just click that button. It costs you nothing, but it makes me feel a little better about our podcast. So click that like button, or click the dislike button if you really disliked it, because that'll have a direct emotional impact on me.
Aww,
so
please
so
just
you
click
get
like.
the bang for your buck if you hit the dislike button, to be quite honest. So and subscribe, like, share, and subscribe is what they say. I hardly ever share anything, so I'm hesitant to say that, but you know what, you should share this. Share our podcast. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join the Discord. You can find a big, beautiful link to our Discord right on the website, postapocalyptic.com. You can get on our calendar. You can put the calendar into your phone automatically. You can have it synced up. That's what I do. And then that way, Stephanie adds something to the post-apocalyptic calendar. Shawn, Val, any of our writers add something. I'll get that. There's a new article, Mothers of the Apocalypse. Tina, one of our newer writers, she's been going nuts. She's been writing a lot of Carmageddon posts, which features matchups between different post-apocalyptic vehicles. She also wrote a Mothers of the Apocalypse article that's pretty sweet, and also is on page 1 of Google. So Google approved. And that will be it for this week. So you guys, I want you to all stay safe, be prepared for whatever happens, and always be ready for the big one. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.